What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to the Blazers Uprise post-game show. The Blazers lose a heartbreaker down the stretch by a final score of 104-101. This was a back-and-forth game. The Blazers started up leading by 20 early on with a score of 30-10. You knew that lead was going to disappear, and it disappeared before the first half was even over, as the Rockets took the lead going into halftime. And then in the second half, the Rockets get up 13, but some hot shooting from Trent Jr. gets the Blazers back in the game. But then in the fourth quarter, what struck once again? It's pressure defense. It's Dame being trapped, and the Blazers having no idea how to deal with it. They did not get a single good look for about the last 7 minutes of that quarter. They could not get a good look off. You know, they made a couple shots, but tough, difficult, contested shots. It was more of the same where they're pressuring Dame, they're trapping Dame, and guys are just kind of standing around half court, and then the shot clocks went down. Dame has to shoot a super contested jump shot, right? It's the same problems that we've talked about for years. Same exact issues, and it's frustrating because just looking at this Rockets team, like they're a little bit underrated. They got some talent on this team. You could definitely make the argument that they were a little bit more talented than us tonight, right? I'm not here to argue for or against that, right? I'm just saying that if you want to make that argument that Houston was more talented than us tonight, that's why it's even more frustrating that we lost this game, not due to what you may perceive as a lack of talent. We lost this game due to absolutely boneheaded offense during the last 7 minutes of that game. The last 7 minutes was just garbage offense. Garbage offense. The Blazers only end up, they scored 24 in that quarter. You know, we outscored Houston in that quarter, but we started off hot, got the lead by a point there for a short stretch during that fourth quarter. But after that, once Dame got back in the game, we couldn't get a good shot, man. And it was the same typical stuff where we have no idea how to deal with teams trapping Dame or pressure defense. And that's why it's frustrating, because it should not look that bad. We should have been able to get better shots. We get a couple possessions where we get better shots. We probably win this game. So for me, what lost this game was our offense down the stretch there, and how garbage our system or lack thereof was when they started pressuring and trapping them.
Yep. I mean, I don't know how many times we have to talk about it before it gets addressed by this coaching staff. We know the trap's coming in the fourth quarter of these games, especially when we have injuries to other players, and there is no excuse for not taking advantage of it, of basically getting to play 4-on-3 at the end of these games. And we can't even get one good look in the last 5 minutes of this game. Like, not one single good look. It's unbelievable to me how we can't figure that out yet. And it's not like we didn't have players who are capable with the ball in the game. For most of that stretch, it was Simons, Trent, and Melo who can all handle the ball a little bit. So they can all make plays. They can all shoot the ball. Like, there's no excuse for us to be that incompetent on offense down the stretch of these games just because Dame's being double teamed.
100% agree on that. Like, it's different than the last game, right? Because our defense was, I don't know, it was okay for stretches. They missed a ton of wide open shots. That first quarter, they were missing wide open shot after wide open shot. You look at the first and fourth quarter, we held them to 17 and 18 points respectively. During those quarters, the defense was solid, right? Second and third quarters, our defense was terrible. We were giving up a ton of fast break points. They were pushing it in transition, and we were lollygagging back, man. We weren't hustling back at all. That was extremely frustrating. And that goes back to the inconsistent effort we've been plagued by all season long. But overall, you hold them to 104 points. If you said, oh, we're going to hold the Houston Rockets to 104 points today, I'd be like, okay, yeah, we won this game, right? No, we only score 101. And, we don't have CJ, we don't have Nurkic, whatnot. Sure, if we had those guys, yes, we probably win this game. But we didn't lose this game because we didn't have those guys, right? We lost this game You can't control whether or not we have those guys or not, right? Injuries are part of the sport. You can only control what you can control. What you can control is what type of offense you're running, right? What type of system you're running. How you respond to pressure defense. How you respond to traps. So, in terms of what lost us this game, sure, circumstances could have been better for us, but you gotta make do with what you have, and you gotta do the best job possible. The Blazers did not do the best job possible tonight, especially down the stretch in regards to the way they responded to Houston trapping them and throwing, multiple defenders at Dame. I mean, this is just an offensive problem for me. You get Gary Trent Jr. hot, right? He's on fire from three. But then we don't have a single set that can utilize him as a shooter. Here's the thing. A guy gets as hot as Gary Trent Jr. is, and you got Dame on the floor. There's a stretch where Dame was off the floor, but just in general, just speaking in general terms, you get a guy as hot as Gary Trent Jr., you should have a couple sets that utilize him, that could maybe get him free for another three-pointer since he's hot. He's on fire, right? And here's the thing. Here's how people defend me saying that. They'll say, oh, well, since he's on fire, defenses are just going to take him away. Well, guess what? If you have a guy that's that hot, he has a ton of gravity. The defense is paying a ton of attention to him. If you run some sets to free him up, the defense will, if it's a good set, the defense will either not react heavily enough, and it might get him an open look, and he's on fire. That's what you want. Or the defense will overreact. And you can free up some guys from that action as secondary cutters. You look at the way teams guard Klay Thompson and Steph Curry when they're hot, right? And how the Warriors will then free a cutter. Somebody will set a screen and that guy will curl and the guy will slip the screen and go to the hoop. And both defenders will go up to deal with the shooter. That type of stuff. Why don't we do more of that, man? It could either free a hot shooter for three, like a Gary Trent Jr., or, if they overreact, it could free a guy like Derrick Jones Jr. or even a Nasir Little or anyone cutting to the rim, and that cut, should be open. I don't understand. It's just basic basketball. So that was frustrating. And then I can't say it enough. The offense in the last 7 minutes was absolutely garbage.
So to your point, let's say Kanter is setting an off-ball screen for Trent, right? Mm-hmm. And so either Kanter's going to screen his guy, or they're going to have to switch, or the guy's going to be late, like getting through the screen if you run it right? Mm-hmm. So if they switch, you have Kanter on a small guy. You can give it to Gary to pass into to Kanter to post up and probably get an easy two because Kanter is very skilled at scoring in the post. If the guy's late recovering to Trent, he's got an open shot. If they both overreact, like you said, and go there, then someone's open if they double team him or whatever. Like, there's so many ways you can take advantage of a guy, but we don't even, we just park him in the corner. We don't run anything for him. In fact, instead of running him off ball, trying to get him open, we actually just gave him the ball. We're like, here, go ISO and try to score. And he, freaking turned the ball over once and took a bad shot and, because they had nothing else to do with the ball. No one else was moving. They were just standing there watching him do it. So, not only did we not even run a play for him to get him an open three, but we, tried to make him do something that he's not good at doing. And it's just, it drives me crazy how we just literally shoot ourselves in the foot like that instead of taking advantage of a guy that's red hot.
Here's the thing, and here's the question for Stotts defenders, right? If, Klay Thompson hasn't played in a while, but if he gets hot, what do the Warriors do? They don't give him the ball and have him ISO. That's not his game. He scored, 61 points on 12 dribbles, right? He got hot, and what did they do? They ran him off of screens, and they got him moving, and they set good screens for him, and he's able to get shots that way. And then defenses start to overreact when guys get hot, and then those screeners are free rolling to the rim or slipping screens to the rim, and it opens up secondary action, which gets your less talented players, since everybody wants to excuse everything with a lack of talent. That type of stuff, when you get a good shooter hot, can help out your less talented players because it can take attention off of them and free them up for cuts to the rim. And if you're in the NBA, you can make lay-ins. So that's the whole thing. Is all of a sudden it turns into, we ISO try. He turns it over when he's red hot. It's like, and then after that we start ISOing Melo, who's 3 for 13 in one of those. And one of those 3 shots he made was a wide open dunk that was created by Gary Trent Jr., by the way. it's just mind-boggling. Like, it's mind-boggling. It's so just devoid of logic. Like, I don't know how to explain how. I don't know. Either it makes no sense to you, or it's fine for you. Like, I don't know. I don't know how to explain how it makes no sense. If you don't get it, you probably never will agree with me on it. It just makes no sense. It doesn't make sense, man.
I'm just gonna get to a dono real quick. Mike B 499 dono says, after the amount of 20-point leads we have come back from and given up, I'm done with Stotts. Inconsistency has been the biggest problem the last 5 years. Yeah, I mean, people always say, oh, it's a game of runs or whatever. But until we blew a 20-point lead earlier in the season, it hadn't happened in the NBA yet this year. There's been a lot of blowouts, and teams have often gotten down and then not really tried to get back in it or whatever. We had them completely – they couldn't hit a shot. They had no energy. Like we were saying, all the things that we've normally said about Portland when they've gotten blown out in some of these games in the first quarter. And Stotts even said at the end of this first quarter that they asked him, like, well, what was your defense doing to hold them for, like, I think they were 2 for 16 in the three-point shot on three-pointers in that quarter. And he actually said, I don't know if it was anything our defense was doing. They just missed a lot of shots. So at least he's consistent with that, because they were literally leaving them wide open. And
I mean, at least he told the truth there, you know, because we always hear him use it for the Blazers, but never for their opponents. So you know, I was like, okay, yeah, I mean, they did miss a lot of shots. I mean, they're not a great shooting team, so, you know, that'll happen, but, yeah, shout out Sam, $5 donation. Knicks are the number one defense in the league with the same personnel after being in the top 5 for the worst defense last year. Blazers should have hired Thibodeau. I mean, yeah, like defense, like, I don't know. This is more of like this game is more of an example of how our offense can let us down, and how our offense can, you know, just our style of offense can help us lose games. You know, like, we rely on guys hitting shots, and we have guys that can come through, but then, you know, when you start dealing with pressure, this team just folds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just I don't understand. Okay, the Pelican series, we get maybe surprised. Dame gets double teamed. We can't do anything about it. Then the next year, you know, we make it to the Western Conference Finals. Here we are. Dame's getting. They designed their whole defense. He was getting double, triple teamed in that series. We don't have a counter for it. And then this year, last year, Lakers series, of course, he gets double teamed and then he gets hurt. We don't have an answer for it. And then, like, this year, anytime someone's doubled him, like, we just turn to mush. We have nothing to do. Like, people stand around. They have no clue. That is all 100% coaching, no matter what your personnel is, no matter what the injuries are. When you wilt, just completely lay the bed when you get any sort of pressure or double team and you have no idea what to do. Like, it's nothing other than coaching.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, this is a problem when they're healthy. This is a problem when they're healthy. It's not a personnel-dependent thing. And everybody tries to make it out to be a personnel-dependent thing to excuse Stotts, right? In the Pelican series, it was, oh, well, they can get away with trapping Dame because you got Al-Farouq Aminu, man. He's just not a good enough shooter. Meanwhile, Aminu's shooting 43% from 3 in that series, making over 3 threes a game. Oh, well, they're not guarding him hard enough. Like, what? What's that argument? You know what I mean? Like, the dude, why didn't we have him shoot more threes then, since he was shooting 43% and our offense wasn't getting anything else, right? But they wanted to blame Aminu, even though Aminu shot great that series, right? It's always a personnel thing, you know? Now it's like, oh, well, man, just the injuries, man. If you just had CJ out there, like, bro, but it's a problem when CJ's there. It was a problem that Pelican series. CJ was there. Nurkic was there. It's been a problem, you know, last year in the it was a problem almost all year last year. CJ was there, right? It's been a problem when Nurkic is here. It's almost like people try and make it out like we have to have LeBron as a small forward and Draymond as a power forward to have good enough passing to be able to competently deal with any sort of trap. It's ridiculous.
Oh no! Remember, Tori, it was Nurkic's fault for not adjusting in the playoffs. Remember?
Yeah, but Stotts didn't adjust, but that's not his fault.
Stotts actually said that after one of the games, that Nurkic just doesn't know how to adjust to the pick and roll with playoff defense. But no, it's because he's hurt right now why we can't adjust to it, right?
Yeah, it's ridiculous, man. I mean, just look at the floor setup. Like, here's the thing. People that want to use injuries to excuse all our issues no matter what, they rarely have a conversation about things such as the floor setup against the trap. We literally, at least a couple times, are screening for Dame to go to the corner and get trapped in the corner. And then Dame has to try and make a pass out, and it gets turned over, and it's fast break the other way, easy bucket, right? And then people say, oh, well, Dame just turned over the ball. It's like, no, he's like in the corner. They spring a surprise trap on him. Everybody runs away from the ball. This team has no idea how to deal with it. And sure, you can blame the players. Oh, they're not ready for it. But why aren't they ready for it? That's a lack of preparation. That's a lack of knowing how to deal with that situation, which is ridiculous because that is basically the blueprint for good defenses to beat the Blazers, especially without these injuries, right? So we should be expecting it even more without CJ and Nurkic. We should be ready, right? There was one time this game where they double-teamed Dame, where they trapped Dame, and we ran some sort of good action. It had Gary Trent Jr. curling to the middle of the floor. He got a pass and kicked it out to Derrick Jones Jr., who airballed a three, right? And people are, oh, well, Derrick Jones Jr., he can't shoot. That's why you can't beat the trap. Bro, if Derrick Jones Jr. cuts there, he has a wide open dunk. Wide open dunk.
Yep.
That's how you beat the trap. That's how you beat the trap. You don't have, it was good. It was a good start to that possession. Mm-hmm. You get Gary Trent Jr. in the middle of the floor, curling towards the rim. There, we have a numbers advantage on the backside, and instead of cutting to the rim, Derrick Jones Jr. Shoots a three. It's like saying, oh, if you have Gary Trent Jr. and Derrick Jones Jr. on a 2-on-1 fast break, you can't score because Derrick Jones Jr. can't shoot from three. Why would he spot up from three on a 2-on-1 fast break? Doesn't make sense. Why would he spot up from three when it was basically a 2v1 situation there? I don't know, but that's what happens with anybody who comes into Portland when dealing against the trap. They don't cut properly. They don't do the proper thing. It's just you got a guy who loves to cut, and he comes here, and all of a sudden he rarely cuts anymore. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that is a reflection of the style of basketball this team plays, which just isn't. It's a bunch of iso ball and standing around and sitting at the 3-point line and not cutting.
But what's Terry supposed to do if he can't hit that three?
Yeah, and that's a conversation. Yep, he's open and he didn't make the three, didn't make him pay. Nah, he can cut and dunk the damn ball. Sure, maybe you could blame him for not cutting there, but it's we should be ready. We should know, right? All right, Dame gets trapped here. These are the outlets, right? If your guy rotates off of you, you cut. If your guy rotates to the middle of the floor, Derek, you cut to the rim and you catch a lob and you throw it down.
Or how about this? Push the ball up the floor. Beat them down the court like they did the entire first half against us once they started getting hot. And get some easy baskets. Get down there before the defense gets set so they can't just come double team you that easily. They don't know where everyone is. It's a scramble situation, and you can create shots that way. But instead, we get the ball. The point guard goes backwards while he's trying to catch it, then walks the ball up the court. Oh, here comes the double. Oh, I'm just going to dribble right into it. Oh, I got nowhere to pass. What am I supposed to do? That's all we do every freaking time. It's so annoying. Run the ball. Get some action towards the basket. Be aggressive. It's the same reason our defense sucks balls. It's because the freaking aggression level is non-existent. We don't try very hard to get the ball where it needs to be on offense, and we don't try to get the ball out of where it needs to be on defense. And you cannot be a good team if you struggle at both of those areas. You need to be good, and if you're terrible at defense, just make gamble more. You're giving up wide open threes anyway. Why not gamble for steals more often if you're going to help instead of being stuck in the middle between two people? Or why not run some creative thing to get someone off ball, or throw an alley-oop from half court if the double team comes to Derrick Jones. See if he can grab it. It's better than just dribbling right into the double team and not doing anything. Yeah. It's just so frustrating that we we get more complacent as the pressure ramps up, or when the pressure needs to be ramped up on our end, we don't do that. And that's not how you win basketball games.
Yeah, I'll read off and thank the donations in a second. I just want to make this point, because the narrative is basically injuries versus coaching, right? It's not 100-0 either way. Obviously, we probably win this game with Nurkic and CJ, right? We probably win this game with Nurkic and CJ. But here's the thing. That doesn't excuse the coaching. Just because we would have maybe won this game with Nurkic and CJ doesn't excuse the way we lost this game. And there's a lot of people out there that can't seem to wrap their head around, injuries can hurt this team, but also, if it can also be coached poorly. There was some obvious mistakes in this game. So I don't know. The whole narrative of it being 100% black or white is ridiculous. You have people out here that try and make it out like we think that missing CJ and Nurkic doesn't make this team worse, which is just blatantly false. But you can't control those things. So what are we going to break down? We're going to analyze the things you can control, right? You had some guys like Harry Giles missed a couple bunnies. He needs to finish better. Nasir Little had a wide open dunk and he dropped the pass, right? Sure, if those guys convert those plays, sure, maybe we win this game. But those guys aren't trying to miss layups or trying to drop the ball, right? They're doing the best they can. And sure, if you have, Kanter as the backup center, he maybe finishes some of those Giles layups. So yes, if we were healthy, we probably win this game. But you can't control, your guys going out there and making a mistake. For the most part, dropping the ball, at least those types of mistakes, missing a lane, dropping the ball, right? You can't control that. You are 100% in control of what you do offensively from a schematic standpoint. So that is what we're going to harp on, because that is what we're in full control of. That is what Stotts is in full control of. And those are the problems that we see, in the playoffs, right? The problem that we saw down the stretch dealing with the pressure, or not dealing with it because we didn't deal with it well, that problem will exist in the playoffs. It'll exist in the playoffs. It's existed for years. Nasir Little dropping a pass, you're probably not going to have to worry about that in the playoffs, right? Hopefully we're not that injured, knock on wood. So that's the difference. Shout out Shaggy Squid, $10 Australian dollar donation. He says, sick of people making excuses because injuries. With a fully healthy team when we were this bad, we blew a 20-point lead to the Bulls with a full roster. Sick of excuses, bag of dog poo. Stotts coaching. Yeah. These problems existed before. That's the thing. It's not like these problems are new because of the injuries. Shout out to Shaggy Squid, another $5 donation. He says, Melo is continuing to take COVID restrictions seriously, always stay 6 feet away on the three-point defense. We'll touch on him because he was very, very bad tonight. And then shout out Kyle Wilson, $5 donation. He says, fire Terry Stotts for the love of God. John, I know nothing Snow could coach this team better than Terry Stotts. It's frustrating. I'm tired of it. Yeah, I that's a movie reference, huh?
It's a Game of Thrones. So.
Oh, yeah. I don't watch TV shows or movies hardly at all. So yeah, it's the same problems we've seen for years. They're not going to change. I did like that Stotts, throughout. Let's touch on this. Kanter trapped a couple times, bro. And he looked great. We trapped a couple times. We almost got a steal. They didn't get downhill. What is with the people saying, Kanter can't trap? Kanter can't hedge? Every time I see it, he looks solid. At least. If not good. I don't understand it. What triggered you in chat? Did someone trigger you in chat? Yeah, you just had a triggered by chat reaction.
Look at this, Portlandia, who, by the way, guaranteed we'd win the next 3 games. We've lost 2 since he said that. So, and he also said he wouldn't come in here, and I just don't like the excuses, man. I'm sorry, but you're losing credibility with me when you say crap like this. He says, what about Dame missing a free throw again tonight? It would have gone to OT if he had made that. Are you kidding me, dude? He was 3 for 4. He missed 1 free throw. No one goes 100% from the free throw line. He actually
That's such a troll
is
comment.
among the league leaders. If you want to blame one missed free throw by Damian Lillard on what happened in this game tonight, maybe if you want to say, he took a bad three towards the end of the game, whatever, like that's fine. But dude, come on, Portlandia. You're just like losing all credibility.
Yeah, like here's the thing, bro. Like the offense they ran down the stretch, they folded under pressure, right? You can't excuse that away by saying, "Oh, well, they didn't play a perfect game. If they played a perfect game, they would have, they would have won. If they made all his free throws, they would have won." Like, no, you're gonna have some misplays and you're gonna have missed free throws here and there, right? That's normal over the course of a game. What isn't normal is the way they ran that offense against that pressure. They are in complete control of the type of offense they run when Dame starts getting trapped or pressured, right? You can't excuse that away with a missed free throw. It just doesn't logically apply. AM, if you keep throwing out insults like that, we will have to permaban you. We've warned you many times. It's not a personal thing. Yeah. So yeah, it's.
And let me just say this too. So we knew the Rockets, ever since they traded Harden, love to run the ball, right? They like to get on the fast break. They like to go fast. Why do we have three guys often just jogging back on the side of the floor? We both tweeted about this at basically the same point. Like there were multiple possessions where they got a rebound or a steal, and the last three people down the floor were all Blazers, and they were all jogging lightly back on defense. They weren't even trying to get back hard. If I was the coach, I would call timeout and chew all their butts out. There is no excuse for NBA-level players being allowed to be that lazy.
And here's the thing. If
and
they're gassed...
lazy tonight.
Yeah,
they
if
were
they're...
lazy, absolutely lazy.
And here's the thing. If they're gassed, call a timeout and get them a breather. Chew them out a little bit, say they need to do a better job of getting back, but also get them a breather if they're gassed, right? That isn't even an excuse for me. Yes, there's just that stretch. They just beat us down the floor over and over and over again. And I know they have speed, and I know we have Melo and Kanter out there, but they were, it was guys like, it was like everybody. It was guys that you wouldn't expect to be beaten down the floor. It was a Dame or a Gary Trent Jr. or a Derrick Jones Jr. or an Anthony Simons or a Harry Giles. It was literally like everybody on this team, right? So the whole, I saw Dan Marang trying to excuse it like, oh, people are surprised that we're struggling with fast break defense when we have Melo and Kanter on the floor together. It's like, it wasn't just those two guys at all. Yeah. It was literally everyone.
Dame was doing it too, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was everyone.
It was 100% everyone. Shout out Ball Don't Like Podcast, $5 donation. He says, Stotts get outcoached by rookie coach Stephen Silas down the stretch. I'm so tired of this BS. I like Stephen Silas as a coach. The stuff they did defensively was it worked. It 100% worked. We'll see how good that team is, but that team could definitely still make the playoffs in the West. You still got some talent over there, and I think Silas was an upgrade from D'Antoni. Appreciate the donation. So yeah,
they're a game behind us. No.
Yeah, I mean, they're a game behind us, all the, we're 9-6, no need to worry, right? Oh, well, it's only game 5, don't need to worry about these issues. Well, guess what? Those same issues still exist, and if we improve those issues, we would have won tonight despite the injuries. And now we're 9-8. There's no more, 9-6, we're fourth in the West, right? You have people say, how are you be so mad? We're fourth in the West, and it's like, we're only half a game above 9th, right? Now we're 8th. We're 8th right now. If the Suns win tonight, and they're up 7 at the end of this quarter, if the Suns win tonight, we're gonna be 9th. Maybe we'd be 8th over Golden State because they'll be 10-9, we'll be 9-8. But we're basically gonna be tied for 9th if Phoenix wins tonight, right? We are only 1 game ahead of 11th. We are only 2 games ahead of 13th. Everybody's jam-packed. That's why the whole, we're 9-6, you can't complain about stuff in a win when we, beat a bad team, but we barely beat them, and we were down 20 in the first half like we were against the Hawks, and we showcased all these issues that we need to work on, and they're fixable issues. And people were just saying, but we won, so you don't need they shouldn't focus on that. Well, guess what? It seems like they haven't focused enough on it, and now these injuries, not the injuries, now these issues are still there, and they haven't really improved. They should have improved a little bit more. If they improved a little bit more, we'd at least be 10-7 right now. We would have won this game tonight. But there was like these issues. They're the same issues we've been talking about all season long, and they're still prevalent. The issue right now with me is I can't pronunciate words, but it's just a situation where now the injuries hurt us, but we can still win games if we fix these issues, and we should have been fixing these issues, and these issues haven't improved, so that's a problem.
Like Strider says in the chat, they had 5 days to work on this. They had 2 games in between Monday's game and this game to work on this stuff. But rest, they had to rest and not practice, I guess, at all between the last game and this game. And, we're 1-2 since we had that 5-day stretch. Everyone was like, oh, look, it's so amazing. Look, we came out in the zone, almost blew a 20-plus point lead to the New York Knicks. So we're almost 0-3 in the stretch since we had all those days to work on some stuff. Mm-hmm. And, it's just that's coaching to me. Like, we do not look better whether we have practice or not. Like the same issues still plague us. You can say all you want about how this team just needs to gel or there's injuries, but like you mentioned earlier, the same problems have plagued us since the Pelican series, and they're not getting addressed. And if they're not getting addressed, they don't know what to do now. Like no amount of chemistry or practice or whatever is going to help this team, because they're not addressing the right things in those practices. They're not being taught the proper way to handle these situations. And until that changes, we're going to be stuck sitting here wondering for the rest of our lives what could have been had we had a more competent coach while Damian Lillard was in his prime.
Yeah, KJ says, thinking about the defense, they were 2-3 most of the night, but couldn't defend with the personnel. The zone seems like a problem to me. Is it just me, or did they barely run zone? I see people say, oh, they ran a lot of zone. I didn't think they ran much zone.
I counted maybe like 6 or 7 plays where they ran zone.
Yeah.
Mostly out of underneath, out of bounds. Mm-hmm. There was like 2 or 3 times where they ran it just out of normal situations. But they have a weird team to run a zone against, because they don't really have a primary person. Like Wall and Oladipo kind of take turns, so it's not like
and both those guys
stop one guy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And both those guys are good at attacking closeouts and just good enough shooters that you have to close out on them, and they're good at kind of exploiting those gaps. So but here's the thing: our defense wasn't the problem tonight. The only issue I had with our defense was our fast break defense and guys lollygagging back. Right? If guys give better effort getting back during that stretch where they were just beating us down the court every time, we win this game. But we only gave up 104 points, right? Obviously, like, offensively, it's a huge loss with CJ, but it really just came down to we wilted under pressure in the last 7 minutes. For me, that in that run they went on when they were beating us every time down the court because we were jogging back. You fix those two things, we win this game by 5 points at least, in my opinion. So that's really what it comes down to.
Well, for me, I'll just want to add on to it. The way we rotate on defense, the way we help off the wrong person is still an issue. This is something that since you first broke out the clipboard, we've had a problem with. We had one play today where Gary Trent helps off his guy, and he's like the next pass away, right at the top of the key. And so all the guy has to do is pass it to Gary Trent's guy. We don't rotate over, and even if we did rotate, then it would leave another guy open in the corner. So all they have to do is make one pass. They don't even have to set a pick or do anything, and they have a wide open 3 and hit it. And that was in the fourth quarter. We have several times where situationally there was 2 plays, Melo in particular, one with 0.9 seconds on the clock. There's no chance to pass or do anything, and he lazily close out. And then there was another one where the shot clock was winding down, and he had a lazy closeout, a wide open 3 off his guy. But it's not just Melo. It's like I mentioned, Trent had a couple of those plays. Dame had a couple of those plays. We don't know how to help properly. We don't know how to rotate properly. These are all issues that have plagued us. And yeah, you can look at the results and say, oh, you only gave up 104 points. Yes, that's better. It's getting better, I guess. but like,
but it's just a 1-game sample. Like, next game, they play who? The Bulls. I wouldn't be shocked if the Bulls had 125. That's the way it goes, and they definitely missed some shots, but yeah, I think the easiest way, like, I 100% agree with you. I think the easiest way to summarize it, just like 3 issues that are all kind of related, but issues that should improve no matter the personnel, because it's not necessarily dependent on who you are as a player as to whether or not you can do these things, right? Rotations aren't on a string. Rotations need to be on a string, right? If some guy like rotates off his guy to somebody who's open, there needs to be somebody to cover for him and rotate out to his guy, right? That's just basic defensive rotations. The problem is rotations aren't on a screen. Even if one guy rotates correctly, there's nobody rotating to his guy, and it's an open 3, right? Or somebody's rotating to his guy late, and then they're having to close out real hard, and then that guy is just driving the lane past that guy, and then we're completely screwed because we are already in scramble mode, and now we get a guy getting blown by, and then we have to rotate all over again. Guys aren't helping. The second thing is like, a lot of times the wrong guy is helping. The wrong guy's helping, so then like guys are surprised that certain guys are helping and don't know where to rotate. It's like almost like we don't have specific help side principles or anything. I don't know, man. You get 3 guys helping on a drive, and then 3 guys are open with nobody to rotate out to them. That's been a common theme this year. And then you have guys that are just like, their positioning in general, even if they're not helping, their positioning off the ball is very poor. You'll get Melo playing 10 feet off his guy when he's 1 pass away, and they'll literally just swing it to his guy and he'll hit a 3. All of that stuff can be improved with proper coaching, in my opinion, because nothing physically with Melo is causing him to be 10 feet off his guy when he's 1 pass away. Nothing is physically, causing the wrong guys to help. Sure, it could be an awareness thing, but that's something you can improve, right? With film study and work on it in practice. So the problem that I have is those things aren't improving. You'll see a like slight improvement for a game, right? You'll have a flash for a game, but there has been 0 consistent improvement on any of that stuff. That's what I have an issue with.
Mm-hmm. And this is a team that talked about how they needed to get off to a good start this year. They needed to bring it from the beginning of the season. This has not been a team that is letting their actions show that they meant what they said when they said that they were going to have to get off to a good start, because it requires you to play better. We're not talented enough to do that, but we could always rely on playing hard and being focused. But these last 2 seasons, for some reason, that hasn't shown up, and it's just mind-boggling that knowing how important it was to get these games and to not let opportunities like this to win even when you're injured, because honestly, if they keep playing like this, we're not going to have a chance once we do get guys back, or if we do, it's going to be to get in the play-in games and to possibly not even make the playoffs, or if you do, you get the 8 seed and have to play the Lakers or whatever. It's just too you're putting yourself in a position where we're going to have all these people like, but they made the playoffs for the 8th straight year or whatever, and that's not good enough for us. And it shouldn't be good enough for Dame. This team should be better than it is. It should not be a team that is struggling to make the playoffs. It should be clearly a team fighting for home court advantage. And I understand that the injuries are an issue, but we had every problem we've talked about tonight was a problem, whether we had a full roster or like we had every player on the roster injured. It's the same problems, and until those get fixed, we will not be the team we need to be.
Yep. So just talking about chat, yes. Please don't. And what Westbrook said, appreciate the mods, and everything they do. Westbrook, Trevin, and Reese. And Westbrook says, and this is kind of our rule, please don't ask us to ban someone who is not spamming chat, which is against the rules, or being disrespectful to others, insulting others, which is also against the rules. You'll be put in timeout if you do so. You have people here that disagree with one another, and they'll come in and say, ban that person because they disagree, right? We don't want to... Like, disagreement isn't a bad thing. Like, y'all can disagree and talk basketball if you want, as long as it's respectful, right? So don't come in here insulting people just because they disagree with you. Don't come in here saying ban so and so. They're trolling when it's like somebody just voicing a different opinion than you. That is kind of something that we've had to add and enforce this year, because I don't want people coming in here and being like, oh, this place is only for people that think one specific way, right? I know a lot of you in here, the majority of you agree with us, but I don't want this community to be something where people on the outside look in and say, oh, well, I like Stotts, so I can't watch them because I can't comment in chat because I'll deal with a bunch of people sitting here saying that I should be banned or whatever. I don't want that to be a thing. So that's why we enforce that. And I appreciate my mods. Now, my mods, can have opinions too, but they will never, I trust them to be respectful. And just like Westbrook says, yes, just be respectful. Also, F Stotts, right? But if you like Stotts, fine. Cool. We will hold other people accountable for how they talk to you, right? We will make sure that people are respectful to you, even though, like, we disagree on if you like Stotts or not. Like, if you think Stotts is a good coach, right? It's not about the disagreement. It's about the basically just how you act towards one another in chat.
And we even have this guy Swaggy coming in here trolling as a Rockets fan, and then quickly changed his tune and says this channel is cool. Not gonna lie.
See, that's the thing, man. Is like you have a lot of fan bases out there that just like their initial reaction to anything based around another team is just to troll and talk trash, right? And the thing is, I know there's a lot of people that watch this channel that are like that towards other guys, and I'm just kind of at the point where like I'm not trying to get into it on Twitter with opposing fan bases. Like, what's the point, man? Like, it's I don't know. I'm just kind of like getting tired of just the toxic back and forth between fan bases and whatnot.
Yeah, it's one thing too if someone's like being disrespectful and you ask a mod, like, what's the policy here? Can we do something about this guy or whatever? That's completely different. But yeah, if we're just talking about Blazer related stuff, even if you don't agree with them, just be nice. And Portlandia, the excuses are flowing tonight. Home court advantage won't be a big deal this year. It just matters if we make the playoffs. After he's said time and time again that we're an elite team. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, moving the goalposts a little bit there, but yeah, I don't know.
I wanted to get this question too. Taeyeon Lee says, "Is there a possibility Stotts gets fired this season?" Maybe a possibility.
It would be at the end of the season.
Likely to be at the end of the season.
And that's also
really hard to change mid-season. Yeah.
And that's also why I don't sit there on Twitter like hashtag Terry Stotts. Let's get it trending. Like, let's sign a petition for it. Like, none of it matters. None of that matters, right? Like, I will criticize him for if he does, in my eyes, a poor job of coaching the team. But I'm not going to sit here on Twitter like, fire Stotts, fire Stotts, fire. Like, what's the point of that? You're just wasting your time. The front office isn't going to fire Stotts because a bunch of people on Twitter are said to. Or they're not going to see, oh, this petition has 1,500 signatures. Oh, we better fire our coach. That's not going to happen. So, like, I don't know. I'll leave a hashtag on some criticism once in a while. But, like, there's a lot of people out there, like, that are so, like, dedicated to the cause. And, I agree. Like, I kind of want him gone, but I don't know. It's just like it's not gonna affect anything or sway anything, and I'll participate in it once in a while, but that's really why I don't push that stuff. And that's why I don't really talk about it. If it happens in the middle of the year, it happens, cool, but I don't expect it to. He's been here so long that I don't even like talking about firing him or anything, because it's just like I don't know if that's even something that the front office would consider at the end of the season, no matter what happens. You know what I mean? And now that we're injured, it's like, oh, well, that's kind of his pass, and he will probably be back next year just because we had some injuries this year. Like that's kind of how I think it's gonna go.
I'm probably gonna butcher this, but Dia Pathic says, it just moved on me. Prep. basically that he was saying the ownership, the lack of ownership is the problem. Jody's been about saving money, while Paul Allen wouldn't have stood for this. Just for the record, we have for some reason people forget that the last couple of years under Paul Allen, we made lots of financial moves. Almost every move was to get under the cap. We gave away guys like Noah Vonleh at the trade deadline and paid cash to do it just to get under the luxury tax. So don't think that this necessarily is Jody's fault, in my opinion. I feel like she doesn't know basketball, so she's trusting Olshey. And so this is on Olshey, in my opinion, the coaching situation. So it's up to him whether to keep him or not, because if he wanted him gone, he would be gone. So until he feels that way, it's not going to happen. But I just don't know enough about what Jody's done, because we've had this situation, obviously this last year or so has been different than any other year in my lifetime in terms of financial impact towards sports and all that kind of stuff. So we just don't know what is going on, whether she's been willing to do that. We had the highest payroll in the league last year. So even though we did pinch pennies, we still had the highest payroll. So it was understandable when we're 10 games below 500 that the Blazers would want to cut a little bit of tax out of their budget or whatever. And then stuff like that. So I'm not saying she's completely off the hook, but she's letting the basketball people do the basketball things. So this is on the basketball people, in my opinion. And I will call this out right now. I don't know what Olshey's doing. I have said this. I said this when we signed Blevins. I said this when we didn't use our roster spots. We have an open roster spot. There are free agents available. Not necessarily guys who can help us, but if we're talking about giving them the excuse, they couldn't practice because they didn't have 10 guys. Well, you could sign a free agent and you can sign a two-way guy. Those are two guys that you could have in practice helping your guys actually play defense in practice, run shell drills, do stuff like that you can't do if you're complaining about all your guys being injured. And this is the exact scenario why we needed to have a full roster and both two ways taken care of, without wasting one on a guy like Blevins, who isn't ever going to play or be any good in this league. We could have done things to get two guys that maybe could have contributed, even a Jalen Horde, who came in and showed a little bit of skill set. He was fine in his minutes he played last year. Someone like that could have came in and given us some energy or something like that, and at least been a good player to have in practice and defend well in practice, and maybe we could grow as a team. But yeah, unfortunately, I'm assuming Reese is right that we're waiting for the buyout market. But when we have these kind of drastic injuries, you have to change your plan. You have to go get someone now, in my opinion.
Wenyen Gabriel's on the Pelicans. It would have been really nice to get Mason Jones. That was a guy I really wanted. On a two-way contract, he had a 24-point game for the Rockets, 24 and 5 assists or something like that a couple weeks ago, because they were injured, and he stepped up and had a really good game for them. Just a guy like that in practice, that forces you to guard, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, the two-way things, there's no excuse for the two-way things. I don't understand. Mm-hmm. Only using one. They have now 3 available total.
I don't think that's been official yet, has it?
Oh, it hasn't been official? I don't know if it's been official.
They keep talking about it not passing the Players Association.
Basically, you have at least 2 available. 1 is unused, doesn't make sense. 1 was used on Blevins, doesn't make sense. That's kind of, really, honestly, my only issue. I don't think a backup point guard would solve the problems people think it would solve. It's literally the way the system is. That's why it's so stagnant. That's why you have guys that have to create out of nothing. If you put Ricky Rubio in here or George Hill in here, it's not going to be any different. It's not going to be any different. Because even when Dame's on the floor, it's still the same way a lot of times. Even with CJ on the floor, and here's the thing. People are saying, we need to trade for Alonzo Ball to be our backup point guard. Bro, CJ, his assist percentage this year, 5 percentage points higher than Lonzo Ball. His turnover percentage, 12 percentage points lower than Lonzo Ball, right? So this year, just based off this year, CJ McCollum has been a better point guard than what people deem as, a true point guard like Lonzo Ball. So, I don't know. That whole thing, people want to criticize Olshey for that. I don't agree with that. So yeah. Do you want to move on to the players? Or?
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Alrighty, let's move on here. The first player we got is Damian Lillard. Let me make it so that it doesn't move. There we go. Okay, wait. I need to... There we go. Cool. Damian Lillard, 30 points, 9 assists, 11 for 23 from the field, 5 for 11 from 3. Hit some very difficult shots. It was a really good performance from Dame, especially with all the attention he was getting. This is basically your typical Dame game, especially with CJ out. He is honestly just as good as he was last year. He hasn't had like some of the nuclear performances he had last year, but he's been consistently at that level. You just look at his his averages and whatnot, and he's right where he was last year. So yeah, I mean, it's just Dame being Dame, trying to put this team on his back and carry him. And he was hot. He had 20 points in the first half, only had 10 in the second. They didn't really do a good job of freeing him up to get shots. We kind of played into the pressure, and this is, exactly my point. We played into the pressure, we played into the trap, and Dame couldn't get good shots off because of that, and it really hurt us down the stretch.
Yeah, he took some bad threes in the second half.
But how much of that was a product of the offense not having anything going?
But he was 4 for 5 in the first half, so yeah, I don't know. His second half was bad in my opinion, but it
wasn't his fault in mine.
We talked about that. Yeah, it's not necessarily anyone's fault on this roster when they're not being taught how to handle that situation when he's getting the defensive attention. And I mean, for anyone who thinks we have a chance at winning a playoff series, how in the world, if we can't beat this Houston Rockets team under that kind of pressure, can you imagine the difference between that and when it's LeBron and AD trapping you, or teams like that? We don't stand a chance in the playoffs until we figure that out. And until then, I mean, Dame's going to have to hit those tough shots. Yes, you could say that's a bad shot when he pulled up with 2 guys on him, but he's got to make those or we don't win this game.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He hits those often enough that they're justified, and it's not like our offense was getting anything better. So that's what it comes down to for me. So next player we got is Gary Trent Jr., 23 points, 3 rebounds, 8 for 16 from the field, 7 for 13 from the three-point line. He got hot from 3 and kept this team in this game. Portland fell down about 10 points twice, and both times they cut it to like a 1-point deficit, or they took the lead just because Gary Trent Jr. went on a run where he was hitting threes. So he tied a career high in threes made. Very good game from him. I thought defensively he was pretty good today. He stepped up and really performed for them.
Yeah, I mean, he struggled at the beginning of this game, but then caught fire. And once again, we talked about this already. Just wish we had some sort of system to either get him a good clean look after he knocks down a few, because one of the last ones he hit was insanely tough. He had a guy in his face and had to rainbow it pretty high. So either get him an open shot or use that to get someone else an open shot. And it's just so frustrating. We saw this with, I've mentioned this several times, Seth Curry, when he was in Portland, same type of thing. He would hit a few threes like this, get us back in the game, basically single-handedly lead the bench since our bench sucked, until we got reinforcements later in the season. And then he wouldn't get an attempt for the next 5 minutes, and we couldn't take advantage of it. That even happened in game 4 of the Denver series. He got hot in the second quarter. We took a bit of a lead, and then he didn't get a 3 the rest of the game, I think. It's frustrating that we don't have some sort of offense that's predicated on anything other than pick and roll, or Dame and CJ, or Anthony Simons being stuck in this position to create literally the whole offense for someone else.
Yep. So I don't know, and I tweeted about that. It's just like we need more set designs for him. Like, here's the thing. Here's how we run things for CJ. We'll try and free him up for three, off a flare or something and whatnot. But if that doesn't work, like, we still pass CJ the ball and then just expect him to go one-on-one and make something happen out of nothing. We have nothing like beyond that. The problem is with Gary Trent Jr. These plays, it's easy to see coming, and we run them so much during the course of a game. It's not like it's going to surprise the defense. It's not some unique action or anything. So they cover it, then we give Gary Trent Jr. the ball, and then he has to create one-on-one. And that's not his game. It's like you look at the way the Warriors do things. If Klay Thompson doesn't get the ball, right, if they run Klay Thompson off a flare screen or something, he doesn't get the ball, they keep moving. And he keeps moving. Until he gets open, or until, they maybe overplay him on one of these screens and the screener slips and gets something downhill towards the rim. And then if the defense, he gets the ball and the defense rotates, he kicks out to an open shooter in the corner. They move and they get shots that way. Whereas, like, we'll have, Dame will bring the ball up. Trent will come running up towards Dame, give Trent the ball. Trent will give it back to Dame. Then Trent will run off a flare screen, and then Dame will throw him the ball. And if he's not open, okay, now it's just like one-on-one. He'll like start to dribble like as if he's going to create one-on-one. I don't have anything. Pass it back to Dame. Dame's almost near half court. There's 8 on the shot clock. And the only option we had was Gary Trent Jr. running off a flare, which we had seen all game long. So the defense has seen it all game long, so they were ready for it. That's the thing. Whereas you look at the way Golden State runs their offense, when they have Klay, Steph, and whatnot, you have so many options during one half court possession, and it's hard to see coming. And if you shut down one thing, they flow into something else, right? Isn't that what Stotts calls our base offense? Flow? It doesn't flow. It's like one option. If that doesn't work, it's create something out of nothing. So, I don't know, like, he did a good job hitting shots when they came to him. A lot of them were in transition, so he's still able to get decent looks during this game. It's just like, man, he got hot. He got hot there and was on fire. And it was like, if you keep getting, good looks for the most part, I have confidence they're going in. He did miss one after a hot stretch, and I knew he was going to miss it. It was like off a rebound, and the ball got kicked out to him, and he like had a weird handle on the ball when he started to shoot. I don't know if you know what shot I'm talking about. Yeah, and I could tell, like, just based on his hands, like, how he's kind of, like, trying to fix his hands while he was starting his shot. Like, yeah, he's going to miss that. Just he didn't have a good grip on the ball, so that'll happen. But overall, we need guys to step up, and Simon stepped up last game, Trent stepped up this game, and replaced a lot of CJ's offensive production, 23 points, and did a better job than CJ would do defensively. So it's not like CJ's absence really crushed us tonight, in my opinion, because you had Gary Trent Jr. stepping up, playing a really good game.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say that is at the end, it would have been nice to have CJ being able to break down a defense because no one else could when they're taking Dame 100%, up. But yeah, other than that, I agree with you. My mom has some news, but I'll bring it up, I guess, when we get to this player later.
Yeah, and I heard it during the broadcast, so we'll touch on that. We'll see how. I don't know. Hopefully it's not something long-term. Let's move on to Anthony Simons, who had 14 points, 8 rebounds, 5 for 13 from the field, 4 for 9 from the three-point line. He had another good three-point shooting night, 1 for 4 inside the arc. Would like to see that be a little bit better, but, one of those misses was him blowing by John Wall, bringing an extra defender, and it left Kanter wide open, for a putback because his defender had to try and block Anthony Simons' shot. So that's the thing, is like sometimes, you'll miss shots going downhill attacking the rim, but as long as you do that, you leave a chance, especially with Kanter on the floor, for a putback, for an easy shot inside, right? You have a better shot of going to the line. It's just, when threes aren't falling, I want to see more of that, because even if, you don't make the shot, it increases your chances to at least get something out of it, whether it's a putback because the center had to rotate over and help, or maybe get to the free throw line and knock down shots that way, which can get your outside shot going. So that's kind of been, one of my issues with the team is, guys not really attacking the rim. Anthony has looked good attacking the rim. He hasn't been super efficient from inside the arc. I think his 3-point percentage is higher than his 2-point percentage this season, but I've seen, you see him flashes of it, and I hope it continues to improve. It's nice to see him at least knock down 3-point shots efficiently. He was like a 37% 3-point shooter going into tonight's game. That'll rise with a 4 for 9 shooting night. He's stepped up as a scorer. The playmaking isn't really there, but that's not really his his thing. You need him to be a scorer and replace some of that scoring punch that you lose with CJ, and he's done that so far in the past 3 games.
Yeah, and this is the guy who, during that stretch we had off, was saying that the second unit was going to run more, and that would help him with some of that playmaking. But of course, we haven't seen that, and it's all just talk. And I feel like that could really help him out. Also, like, he had several possessions where he had to try to dribble up, and we weren't moving at all off ball. Or it's just frustrating hearing people say, like, oh, we need a point guard, when we just need to run some plays. It's so frustrating. But I thought Simons played pretty well tonight. Definitely not his fault that we lost this game.
For sure. Moving on to the fourth player we got Enes Kanter, 13 points, 13 rebounds, 5 for 9 from the field. Offensive rebounding numbers, let me pull them up here. Apologies if an ad plays, because ESPN has that autoplay. Kanter had 4 offensive rebounds out of his 13. So solid night from him. He had some stretches of solid defense. He had some stretches where Christian Wood kind of took advantage of him. But we knew that was going to happen, and honestly, I'm surprised it didn't happen more, to be real with you. Overall, just a solid game. He plays to his strengths really well and doesn't do... He doesn't really try and do stuff that he's not good at. He doesn't try and do too much a lot of times. He plays really well to his strengths, and defensively I think he's since Nurkic has gone out, I think he's done a better job of getting to the spot to make it tougher on an offensive player. So overall, no complaints from his performance tonight either.
Yeah, and I was trying to find it real quick while you're talking. So I'm sorry I can't credit this person because I can't find it, but someone made the comment that I completely agree with, and that's this team got reliant on Nurkic's ability in the pick and roll, and we got so reliant on it that when he was out last year, we don't really have a lot of stuff to do. This year he's out again, and we don't have a lot of ways to creatively get people moving or whatever. We can't just throw it to Kanter the same way we do Nurkic and expect him to pass someone open off a cut or something like that. And so I feel like we're still trying to play the same way we play with Nurkic, but we can't, because there's plenty of times where he rolls and Dame's scared to pass it to him near the free throw line. He always waits till he gets closer to the hoop and stuff like that. And this is another thing where we've now had a full season last year and several games now without Nurkic. Like, we need to somehow adjust and realize that we need to maybe set up the offense in a different way and utilize Kanter differently than we do with Aldridge to take advantage of some of that stuff. Or not Aldridge. Why did I say Aldridge? Nurkic, to get him some better looks. And I kind of wish we'd play, like, I don't know, last year with Whiteside, I feel like we were getting him the ball going to the basket, getting easier shots, whereas Kanter always gets it when he's in a crowd and has to, like, pump fake and still try to finish over someone. So yeah, I just wish we'd utilize his skill set a little more. We saw at the beginning of this game, we posted him up a couple times and he went right to the basket and scored. He also had a couple turnovers, but I don't know. We need a way to increase the passing level and the movement away from him if we're not going to use our center in that passing role. Yep. But still run pick and roll all the time.
Yeah. Little side note, your mic, you're playing with it a little bit, but it's all good. Just I want to hear that solid points, the solid points you're making. I want to hear it clearly, because you're speaking facts. Yeah, I mean, they're just too reliant on the pick and roll in general. That comes from losing Nurkic, it hurts it, because Nurkic is a great pick and roll big. Not only, it's honestly mostly because he can make the right pass or make the right play out of it and reads the floor well out of it. but like he's a good enough finisher to make teams pay, and he sets great screens. Kanter sets decent screens as well, but Nurkic's screens are a vastly underrated aspect of his game. So yeah, it's I don't know, like he's fulfilled my expectations of him. When he's on the court next to Melo, the defense is rough. You kind of need a Rocco next to him, so Rocco's absence hurts. Rocco can help cover the rim for him a little bit. But overall, this is about what I expected.
Yep.
All right, next player we got Derrick Jones Jr. So 11.7 rebounds, 3 blocks, 5 for 8 from the field, 1 for 3 from the three-point line. He's been playing better. He's been finishing a lot better. His defense has been. He's been maybe probably the second most consistent defender on this team. He's been consistently solid on that end. Solid game from him tonight. Anytime you can get an efficient 10 to 12 points out of Derrick Jones Jr., as well as good defensive play, that's a good game for sure. But now he's injured again. He had an injury dealt with last game, and now he has a foot sprain. So any additional information other than he has a foot sprain?
Nope. Just expecting it to be broken and then out for like 2 months.
Okay, I should have tossed it over to you so you could just make us wanna. Yeah. I don't even want to go there until it's a thing, man. Because yikes. But I don't know what play he did it on. I didn't see the play. It's hopefully he's all right. If he's out and Rocco's still out, I don't know I guess you start Hood and Trent. Yikes. I don't know, man. Block Boy said they got x-rays back. They're negative. Isn't that what we heard at first about CJ? And then it was like, oh yeah, it is broken. So Joel says, I think they said reevaluation in 1 week. Well, Rocco should be back. So I don't know if Rocco can come back and start knocking down threes. That's a huge lift for this team. But I don't know, man. It's starting to make you wonder about the training staff or something. Dude, everybody gets hurt. It's the past year and a half. Everybody, man. I don't understand. Collins, CJ, Nurkic. Now you got, Rocco was just kind of a fluke thing, I guess, but Derrick Jones Jr. now, it's, I don't know, it's getting frustrating.
I know you came in at the beginning of the Roy era, but that's how it was all the time.
I remember.
Yeah. This is how it was every day. We got Prisbilla, breaks his leg or whatever, and then Odin comes in, is playing amazing, and then he breaks his leg, or maybe it was vice versa, and then, we don't have a center. And it's not my jersey, guys. People got injured before I wore this jersey.
Hey, tonight. See? Somebody got hurt tonight because you wore the Odin jersey.
It's my...
Good job, Eric.
Games where I didn't remember it.
You should award the jersey for those games, right? You forced it too late, man. You're too late with it. So the basketball gods are punishing you for not wearing it every game before this. That's just how it goes. Obviously, not Eric's fault. Maybe the training staff's fault. I don't know. But it is just definitely getting frustrating. Good game from him. Hopefully he's not out too long. Yeah, I don't even know what else to say. Let's move on to Carmelo Anthony. He he did not have a good game tonight. Or today. I don't know. It was in early game. But Carmelo, man, 3 for 15, not good. Over 4 from 3, not good. Defense tonight, not good. He had a couple good defensive possessions, and I love how people try and say, oh, well, you see that one possession? That was great defense. What are you talking about? He's been terrible on defense. And there's 10 plays I could point to where he's just played very bad defense, man. I mean, there was a play in the second half where he jumps at a guy, but not even to contest. He doesn't even have a hand up. He's closing out and just jumps past the guy for no reason. That guy then drives the lane. The Blazers do a good job of rotating over and helping out Melo, but the guy they leave open is Melo should have rotated out to him, and Melo makes basically no effort to rotate back out to them, and he hits a three. I wish I had like the clip keyed up on Twitter or something. There's just frustrating defensively, frustrating offensively. I mean, took some bad shots, and part of it is like I can't even blame him. Our offense was kind of stagnant, and we don't have many shot creators. It's just when he's not hitting shots, he's not helping the team win whatsoever.
Yep. Once again, when you don't have an offensive structure and you call timeouts and the game plan is to post him up, I mean, that guy's going to shoot it. So, like, and oftentimes he doesn't have anything else to do but shoot it. And, yeah, it's just, I don't know.
Here's what I was saying, but what was I saying? Oh, he's shooting 44% from three. That's not gonna remain that high, right? He's never shot anywhere close to that good from three. And you look at his like
is it below 40 now?
His 3-point percentage, he is after tonight's game shooting 38% from three. Here comes the ad. Mute. There we go. Saved it. He is shooting 38% from three, 39% from the field. That's not efficient. Like, that's decent 3-point shooting numbers, but he's shooting, I guess, 40% inside the arc. Probably a little under 40%. That's terrible. That's terrible, man. I mean, like, that's just super inefficient. And if he regresses with his 3-point shooting, if he shoots like how he has the past couple games, which is possible, he's a career 35%er. If he's only a 35% 3-point shooter, there's no reason he should be even be on the team. Outside of maybe like a mentorship role, I guess. But I don't know. Like, as a player, if the dude's shooting 35%, the dude's not a good defender. He's not good inside the arc. Sure, they double him, blah, blah, blah. Like, he didn't get doubled tonight inside the arc, did he? You know? A lot of games he doesn't get doubled. I don't know why teams double. Because he's only shooting, 39.5% from two. That's terrible. That's the equivalent of shooting like 26% from three. It's not good. Like, what else does he provide the team other than 3-point shooting? I'm struggling to really grasp it. It's frustrating, man. That's just kind of how I feel about it.
Well, I guess he could get his shot off better than most players in his situation, but yeah, that's about it.
But that's like a 40% from two look, you know? Yeah. It's, I don't know, like you could run, if you ran better team offense, you would be able to get higher efficiency shots than that.
But therein lies the problem. Why are we continuing to run the same offense if it's that efficient when he's in the game?
Stotts and Melo problem. Both of theirs.
Why do we continue to put him in the worst situations? Why do we continue to just straight post him up and not run him off a cross screen and get him maybe a little deeper position where he's shooting a 10-footer instead of a 15-footer? Why are we not doing any of these things? It doesn't make sense
he wants his post touches, though.
No, I know, but you can set him a screen to get him a post touch in the same, only 5 feet closer to the basket, and then he gets a better shot off, so it helps everyone involved. Like, and then you have a screener involved in the play and all that stuff. So, like,
oh yeah. I mean, for every player on this roster, you could maybe put him in a little better chance to succeed offensively. You know, I just, bro, if he's not shooting the 3-ball well, he just doesn't help the team in general. No matter what you do with him, no matter how you use him, like, it's, I don't know. I mean, what? He's going to shoot 45% inside the arc instead of 40%? That's still not good. It's not like he gets to the line a ton. I don't know. We're just seeing exactly why I didn't really care to have him back. You know, everybody wanted him back, and it's a cool story. He's a big name. He used to be an insane player, one of the top 5 players in the league. But he's 36, you know, guys age and decline. And he's had a great career. He's just not a help to this team, unless he's hitting threes, in my opinion. I mean, what is his mentorship bringing? You know, we've been like 500 at best with him. I don't know. It's fun when he does well, and I enjoy when he does well. It's just like, I'm just looking at this like, man, he's not going to be able to keep up that 3-point shooting. And you're starting to see him struggle from the 3-point line, and it's just bad. It's just real bad.
Shout out to Max Buckley for becoming a starter member. Thank you.
Appreciate it, bro. Welcome to the club.
I'll address it after. I'll address this after we get through the players.
Okay. Let's move on to the next one then. I think we got two more. Rodney Hood, 2 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 for 5 from the field, 0 for 1 from the 3-point line. He looks a lot more comfortable in the starting lineup playing next to Dame. I don't know why they didn't bring him back to the starting lineup. They should have kept Melo on the bench and started Trent Hood and Derrick Jones Jr. I don't know, I don't know the thought process behind not bringing him back into the starting lineup. But he played well in the starting lineup and has struggled off the bench. I mean, I would like he's going to be a bench player if we're healthy, so I want to see him get going off the bench. It's just right now it's when you have guys injured, I'd start him and Trent. And with Derrick Jones Jr. being out and Robert Covington likely coming back, I think you start Dame, Trent, Hood, Rocco, Kanter. I think that's about as balanced of a starting lineup as you can get. You bring him back into the starting lineup, and he's played well in the starting lineup. He kind of he struggled. He struggled off the bench for sure tonight.
Yeah, he's been. I was hoping he turned the page, then he gets hurt again. I think the first early in the year he missed like 2 games with a quad contusion or something, and like he had just had his best game of the season, at least looks wise, and then he came back and struggled for a few games. This guy can't catch a break, it seems like. Yeah, it's just a matter of, I think we just need him to be healthy and able to play. But yeah, once again, I don't feel like we're utilizing him just like we're not utilizing a lot of our players in the correct way.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's really not much else to say on him, so let's just move on to the final player, who is Harry Giles, 2 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 for 4 from the field. There's people on Twitter that just want to jump at Harry Giles' neck every time he makes one defensive mistake, but like I don't see them saying the same things when Kanter makes some of the same mistakes. Giles is a better player than he's shown. He is a better finisher than he's shown. He's kind of struggled finishing, right? If he was finishing decently, nobody would even be complaining, in my opinion. He had a really nice kick-out pass to Simons for an open 3 off the roll. Like that was a beautiful pass. That was kind of what Nurkic can provide you, So he can provide you some of the same playmaking. It's been underutilized so far this season. Defensively, he's been inconsistent. He's had good moments. He's had bad moments. Here's the thing with him. I expect the more you play him and the more comfortable he gets, the better he'll play. Also, in a stagnant offense, he's not going to be as good as he is in an offense that flows and has motion. So, because he's a decent passer, so if you have cutters, if you have motion, he can deliver the ball, he can pass the ball, and then it'll help him get better looks, So overall, he's a better player than he's shown. I think some of it is kind of just the way we kind of run our offense. It doesn't really suit him perfectly, and then he just has to become more consistent, and I think he'll play better once he gets more comfortable. He's on a new team, hasn't really played a whole lot, so I expect him to gradually improve.
Yeah, just add him to the list of players I don't feel like we're using properly. I feel like he needs to be more of a focus on an offense and have like a clearer role. He doesn't even, I don't know. It's like we just throw him out there and expect him to be Kanter, and we don't really do anything to play to his strengths. He's not the same type of player as Kanter, and I don't know why we don't like give him the ball around the free throw line and let him create a little bit for others, especially when our offense is being really stagnant. But yeah, it's he's also got to play better in his minutes. He's got to do his role better because he's not taking advantage of the opportunity, and he's not going to get the bigger role that he needs to have if he's not taking advantage of the smaller role either. So it's kind of a catch-22. But yeah, he's just got to step up and be a little more consistent, finish those shots inside, and until he's, I feel like he's just one of those few minutes like we saw in the preseason away from being back to a really effective player for us. He's just I don't know, for some reason, like, we just have killed anything he's good at. I feel like we're trying to make him do things he's not. And this goes back to the aggression thing. I feel like when he's aggressive on offense, taking the ball to the hoop, breaking people off the dribble, stuff like that, he is good at that kind of stuff, but we don't really allow him to do that. And then on defense, he would be really good being super aggressive on pick and roll and trapping and being kind of like a poor man's Anthony Davis out there where you always trap and get your arms up and you can move around a little bit and then recover back to your guy. But we don't really play that way either. So I just feel like we're kind of wasting an opportunity to have a player that could possibly give us a little more than he's given us.
Here's the thing. If guys aren't hitting threes, in regards to the bench lineup, if guys aren't hitting threes, they look so uncomfortable and they don't play well. It literally just comes down to if guys hit threes or not, right? The only exception has been Kanter, but like Kanter is rebounding a lot of those missed threes and putting them back in, you know what I mean? Or he's just getting a post touch here and there. A guy like Giles, it's like he's not really a 3-point shooter. I think it's as much, at least on the offensive end, is as much of a product of the system and just kind of having no flow and no rhythm to it as it is anything else, right? Like when Simons isn't hitting threes, just completely ineffective offensively. When Trent isn't hitting threes, completely ineffective offensively. When Melo isn't hitting threes, completely ineffective offensively. When Rodney Hood isn't knocking down threes, when he's playing with the bench lineup, completely ineffective offensively. When he's playing with the starting lineup, he looks better, right? I think it's something to do with the bench. You know, I'm not going to be too hard on him when he's playing with a unit that is just weird, man. Like the way the bench plays offensively, I feel like it's hard to get comfortable with, especially for a guy like Giles. So,
yep.
Anyway, that wraps up the players. What were you going to touch?
Oh, so you kind of responded to some of it in chat, but Peace and Love was saying like, oh, most teams just ISO and pick and roll, so like it's not really a thing. Okay, so yes, you can have it's fine to be ISO heavy, pick and roll heavy, if the other players aren't just standing around. And it's proven with this team, the more they share the ball, the more the ball flows around, the better it looks, the more we score, the more it gets everyone involved, and people have a good game. And it's just, it's crazy to me that people excuse the lack of both effectiveness of our plays and our lack of ball movement and all that stuff just by saying, oh, well, Dame and CJ aren't those kind of players. Whatever, I've seen them do that. Like, I've seen them do it plenty of times. And good teams would not just stand around and wait for those guys to score. That is fine if you want to be an average team that never wins a championship. But if you want to get better and be a better regular season team where you're not fighting in this situation for, like, we're 9-8 right now. If you want to be in a situation where you're put yourself in a better position to win once you get in the playoffs, you cannot play this way. And we've seen how easy it is to get. I mean, I don't even have to say it. In the playoffs, it's ridiculous to even try to play this way because it doesn't work. It has not worked.
His next comment. Our offense has been one of the best in the league, movement or not. Went to the Western Conference Finals with this offense. Our offense has been decent in the regular season because you got CJ and you got Dame. Guess what? It would be just as good, if not better, if we moved more. It would probably be better if we moved more. Because when we move, when we cut, when we pass the ball, our offense is phenomenal. Our offense is phenomenal. But guess what? Look at our offensive rank in the playoffs since Aldridge left. We go from maybe being a top 10 team, a top third team in the regular season, and then once we get into the playoffs, we are a bottom 50% team. Our offense regresses more than any other team when we get into the playoff because it's really easy to game plan for an ISO heavy and pick and roll heavy team, and it's really, you're allowed to be a little bit more physical in the playoffs, which makes it a lot easier to shut down isolation and pick and roll. And you look at the Bucks, right? And the Bucks aren't as pick and roll or ISO heavy as we are necessarily, but they kind of made the mistake of getting too ISO and pick and roll heavy in the second round last year. Guess what? Miami beat them in 5 games. 5 games, right? You see it with the Rockets, right? The only time they've had any sort of playoff success is when they had a guy like Chris Paul, who is one of the smartest players in the league and who, kind of ran that ship and got them, got them some movement, when James Harden didn't have the ball. Guess what? After they barely missed the finals, Chris Paul went to James Harden and said they needed to be less ISO heavy in order to have more playoff success. So you're arguing with Chris Paul on this one. Guess what? James Harden didn't like that. That's why he and Chris Paul had a falling out, right? Because James Harden just wanted to play his way. Guess what? Without Chris Paul, James Harden has had absolutely no playoff success. Absolutely none. So it doesn't work in the playoffs. Doesn't work in the playoffs. Here's the thing. You can run good motion and you can move the ball for 12 seconds in a possession, right? And potentially get good looks off that. And guess what? If that doesn't work and you have 7 on the shot clock, you get the ball to CJ and he can ISO. And he can get the same exact shots he would as if he ISO'd from the get-go. So there's no excuse not to run more motion, not to move the ball better, and not to do that type of stuff, just to run ISO. Because if you can run that stuff and get good looks off of it, and if it doesn't work, you can revert back to ISO at the end of shot clocks. Basically, work hard to get better shots than just contested pull-up threes. And then if you're not able to get a better shot, then you can always have the contested pull-up three. It's always there, so there's no point not to work for better shots. You're basically saying, oh, well, we shoot contested pull-up threes really well, so we should just do that all the time. And we shouldn't try and get better shots than that. That's basically what your logic is saying. I 100% disagree with it.
Yep, I completely agree.
So... Anyway,
do you want to let's touch on that last play? Do you want to talk about it for
okay, a second? Let me pull up I don't have a display capture on this main screen. Bro, the last play, we always run the same thing, and it's always kind of like the Houston setup, right? But it's closer to the ball, and we just have Dame run off a couple screens straight to the ball, they switch, and then nobody's open, and then we end up like having our play completely blown up. I am so tired of Stotts not having a second idea on a baseline or on a sidelines inbounds. It's always the same damn play. And it'd be one thing if the play was like a really good play. No, it's literally just Dame runs to the ball and hopefully he gets it. That's literally all that play is. So the final plays they run on the sideline are just triggering. They're triggering. It's terrible. It's frustrating.
So... You know how I know this play was not going to work?
How?
So we come out of the timeout, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the players go get set up, right? Mm-hmm. I'm thinking, we're down 3. There's 2 seconds left, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why is Kanter in the game? I'm like, what? And then all of a sudden, like, Hood runs up to the table and comes in for Kanter. So, like, what? They weren't talking about what Hood was supposed to do in the timeout, like, because he wasn't even in the game at the time. Like, so
I was watching that, like, wait, what? How do you not know who's supposed to be in the game? And then it looked like Hood was like, okay, so I just stand here and screen, right? Like, he didn't know what to do. Oh God.
So like, yeah, like, so and they had a whole timeout, drew up a play, and like the right person wasn't even in the game for that play that he drew up. Like, I don't understand. And then yeah, Ant has to take like a fadeaway 3-pointer like 5 feet behind the line. Yeah, it's just but yeah, I was like literally thinking, why? Like, I understand he's a good screener or whatever, but like, they're just going to switch all screens, unlike what we do with 2 seconds left. They're going to switch all screens, and it won't be like what Kanter could set the best screens of all time, and it won't matter because they'll just switch it. But like, then he takes them out, and I'm like, okay, does Hood even know what to do? And like, I was watching obviously the shot, but I didn't see what Hood did on that play if he even was effective. But like, no wonder we couldn't even get an open shot off it because, yeah. But we have like, Dame and Gary Trent who are lights out 3-point shooters, and that's the shot we get is a fadeaway. Like, I don't know, it's just so frustrating.
It doesn't make sense. Let's watch Stotts' interview. You down for that? All right. Here we go. Terry Stotts.
Things considering the fact that Derrick went out as well. You guys
Let me restart.
Coach, I imagine it was a frustrating loss, but all things considering the fact that Derrick went out as well, you guys were really down a lot of players now. It seems like you guys did play pretty hard, played pretty well, all things considered.
I thought it was a good effort by everybody. It was a great start. It was a great finish. We came up short. We had our chances in the fourth quarter, made a nice comeback, and really competed. But we're right there. It's tough. It's tough. They're a good team playing at home, but I was proud. I was pleased with how we played.
Thanks.
Dwight James, NBC Sports Northwest.
Gary, it seemed like you got a really good run out of Simons and Trent there in the fourth quarter that kind of got you back into it a little bit. What did you think overall about how they played?
Well, I was really pleased how both of them came back after kind of a subpar first half. Gary, I think, was either 0 for 3 or 0 for 4 in the first half from 3, and really his three-point shooting got us back into the game. And I thought Anthony played a really solid game, both offensively and from a floor game. So I was really pleased how they came back after the first half.
Okay, here's the problem I have with this interview so far. It's not even Stotts, it's the media. Quit asking stuff that literally anybody can see. Oh, we're down a lot of players, so are you happy with that? Yeah, no, we all know we're down a lot of players. What's with all the caveats? You know what I mean? Do you think the team played well tonight? Ask it like that. And then it's oh, Gary and Anthony they shot the ball well. What do you think about that? So it's just he's going to give a cliche answer, a cookie cutter answer, Gary Trent Jr. started off cold and then he was hot. It's just a bunch of stuff we already know. This interview has not been insightful at all, and it's due to the questions that he's being asked. Do you agree with that?
Yep.
So, but let's see if we can get something insightful in the next... Dang, this is a long interview. If you guys want to listen to this whole thing, I'm down. Just let me know in chat. I'm just doing what you guys want.
And Terry, the last shot, you're just running something to see which of those guys get open and get a decent...
Oh, hey, Dwight James comes in with a good question. Thank you for Dwight James. Other than Dwight James, dude. Dwight James is the only person whose questions I like.
After the first half.
And Terry, the last shot, you're just running something to see which of those guys get open and get a decent shot, or is that for Simons to shoot the ball?
Well, they were a small lineup, and we knew they were going to be doing a lot of switching, so we tried to get enough movement that somebody would pop open. That's one of the reasons why at the last minute I substituted Rodney for Enes, because they were playing everybody at the three-point line. So, you just...
What? Of course they're playing everybody at the three-point line. They're up
We're down
3
with 2 seconds left.
What? We're up. Oh well, I subbed in Rod. Yeah, I subbed in Rodney Hood at the last second there because they looked like they were gonna play everybody at the 3-point line. Did you not expect that in the timeout? Of course, that's what teams do. That's so basic, bro. It's so basic. 2 seconds left. They're up by 3. They're going to put in a bunch of switchable defenders and switch and contest the 3 and play the 3-point line. If y'all shoot a layup, you have no timeouts left. They're completely fine with that. They'll just pass the ball in. They probably only just have to tip it, and the clock's going to be at zeros. So I don't understand that, man. It's like he was shocked that they were playing the 3-point line when they were up 3 with 2 seconds left and we had no timeouts left. I don't get it, man.
Well, they were a small lineup, and we knew they were going to be doing a lot of switching, so we tried to get enough movement that somebody would pop open. That's one of the reasons why at the last minute I substituted Rodney for Enes, because they were playing everybody at the 3-point line. So, you hope they make a mistake defensively with the movement.
Okay, let me just respond to a question in chat, or a comment in chat, just because it's kind of ridiculous to me. Moving the ball is great. I agree, but doing that consistently is going to take away shots from Dame and CJ, who you want taking the most shots. Bro, how did Steph Curry average 30 points per game and Klay Thompson average like 21 points per game for the Warriors, considering how much they move the ball? That comment makes no sense. That's not how basketball even works. And if you get those guys easier shots and, maybe take away some of their super contested threes and get them better shots, but maybe they shoot one less shot a game, and in place of that, you get a cutter getting a layup at the rim. Yeah, you take that 1,000%. Come on now.
I think Peace and Love is a Westbrook fan because he takes a lot of shots and scores those points, but that doesn't matter. What matters is how efficient you are with the shots you take. So if the Dame and CJ are scoring the same amount on less shots, then we will be unstoppable as a team. And if other guys are hitting shots because they're more involved in the offense, then we would be impossible to guard.
And guess what? What do teams do in the playoffs? They take away Dame. They try and take away CJ. So you need to be able to do something that gets other players good shots. But guess what? When they get taken away, we're so used to ISO that we can't get good shots. And that's why our offense sucks in the playoffs. It's literally that simple. Let's go back to this interview.
Wait, he says we're not Golden State?
Yeah, we're the opposite for no reason.
Klay Thompson is not a great passer. He's an ISO, like a spot-up shooter. CJ's just as good, if not better, passer than him. Dame and Curry are very comparable in terms of their passing skills and playmaking skills. Like, there is no excuse why we cannot move the ball with those guys. And they can. Like, that's
yeah.
I don't know.
Since we're not Golden State, we have to have the most stagnant ISO-heavy offense in the league, despite having CJ. He's a much better passer than Klay Thompson, in my opinion, and does more off the dribble, breaks down the defense a lot better off the dribble, right? So, like, if he catches the ball off a movement, doesn't have a three, Klay Thompson just gives it up. He can at least attack, he'll have attacking opportunities, and then he can kick out, and you can spark ball movement that way. Nurkic is a good passing center. Like, the whole thing is just, like, bro, people that use our personnel to excuse us being like the most stagnant offense in the league, it's just absolutely ridiculous, man. I'm not saying we should be prime Golden State, 73 win Golden State in terms of our movement, but we should be better than last. Y'all literally just excuse things with just the most. Y'all gotta have better arguments than this, man. I want better arguments.
Okay, so Portlandia's calling you out. He says that's the number one difference between you and him is that you, no matter how many times, don't understand that ISO ball works for some players.
Doesn't work in the playoffs. Doesn't work in the playoffs.
Listen to this. What both Peace and Love and Portlandia, Tori has mentioned this time and time and time again. Run a play. If it doesn't work, then give the ball to Dame or CJ or your ISO players with 10 seconds left on the shot clock and let them ISO. Tell me how that is not a better strategy than just letting them ISO and maybe getting a bad shot or not a shot at all. Like, please explain to me how he is saying that it's not okay to have ISO players. He's actually trying to say it should be, if you have ISO players, it's fine to let them do that sometimes, but that you need some sort of structure around for the players who aren't ISO players. And until that's more of a balance, it's never going to be great in the playoffs because, like we've said a million times, people can just double team Dame, and then we have to rely on CJ either going crazy or we have no kind of thought. And
let me respond to this. Why would you not ISO with Gary Trent Jr. when he's hot? You go with the hot hand all the time. Gary Trent Jr. is not an isolation player. When Klay Thompson is hot, they don't. We talked about this. When Klay Thompson is hot, does Golden State ISO him? No, because he's not going to get off a good shot. Gary Trent Jr., if he's isolating, is not going to get a good shot off. You run him off the ball. You have some sets for him as a catch-and-shoot player because that's what he is. And if he gets hot off catch-and-shoot threes, you try and set him up for more catch-and-shoot threes, just like the Warriors do with Klay Thompson. You don't ISO him and have him go up against the guy one-on-one. Like, it's just common sense. I don't know how. I'm starting to feel like I'm being trolled. Like, come on, man. We explained that. I don't even want to talk about it that much more. It's just.
Well, let me just say this. So, okay, you couldn't answer my question and how it's bad to try something and then ISO. And now you're trying to say, oh, well, we're not Golden State. Like, we're not like a legacy team or whatever. Like, okay, so we can't try to do stuff that would better us and make us a better, more rounded team. Okay, like I don't know what else to say. It's just excuse after excuse after excuse.
So, did you see that 3 in the fourth quarter? He was ISO and made the 3. Okay, 6 of his 7 threes were catch and shoot tonight. Okay, 1 of his 7 threes was in isolation. So you think we should isolate him all the time instead of trying to get him more catch and shoot looks? It just doesn't make sense. I feel like
it over and we didn't get a shot off the other time. Yeah.
Yep, 100%. I feel like you're being a little bit disingenuous right now. Let's go back to Stotts.
Okay.
Jamie Hudson, NBC Sports Northwest.
Coach, I know the NBA, it's a game of runs, but after getting off to a hot start, what would you say were some of the biggest differences from that first quarter to second quarter for you guys?
Well, the obvious difference in the second quarter, they had, for quarters 1, 3, and 4, they had 3 fast break points. And in the second quarter alone, they had 15. So our offense slowed down a little bit, but they really pushed the pace. And their transition offense was the biggest difference in the second quarter.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, any other questions for Coach? Jason Quick with The Athletic, go ahead.
Coach, what are you noticing from Ant the last 3 games?
I don't know. The main thing, he's got an opportunity to play extended minutes.
Yeah.
And I think like a lot of players, when you're going to be out there 20 to 30 minutes, you can play at a different pace. You can kind of pick your spots a little bit better. But, I think from an offensive standpoint, he's certainly comfortable taking shots, running the offense. With CJ out, he knows that there's more responsibility, and he accepted that responsibility.
He's mentioned that he's tried to be more vocal and not kind of hold his emotions in. Have you noticed any of that?
To be honest, no. If he has, I haven't really noticed it per se.
Okay.
Okay, coming back to Aaron Fetch with the Oregonian.
That kind of like low-key burn. That was like kind of a low-key burn of Ant, man. I don't know.
No.
No, he's failing at trying to be more vocal. Oh, that's funny.
How difficult was Wood tonight? It seemed like when he was in, it was when they made their bigger runs of the game. When he was out, you guys were able to either get closer or take a lead.
Well, he's a very talented player, and they've got a lot of talented offensive players between Gordon and Wall and Oladipo and Wood. They really complement each other well. That being said, when Cousins was in the game, we were able to put him in a little bit more pick and rolls. When Wood was in, they were able to be more aggressive on their pick and rolls. And like I said, from an offense.
Didn't I say that on Blazers Uprise Live? Oh, well, Christian Wood, that's a problem. He's an agile big. They're going to be able to pressure and trap with him.
Mm-hmm.
That's a standpoint. They have a lot of offensive weapons.
we all knew that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Pick and rolls. And like I said, from an offensive standpoint, they have a lot of offensive weapons.
Thanks.
Jamie Hudson, NBC Sports Northwest.
Coach, were you able to talk with Derrick after the game and any sort of update with him?
I have not seen him yet. I know that he has a foot sprain. I'm not sure which foot. I'm sure that was in the, what was it? Left. It's a left sprain. The x-rays were clear.
Coming back to Jason Quick with the Athletic.
Coach, I know Ant's hit big shots before, but what does it say about him to have him in a situation like tonight with the game on the line and shooting a shot like that?
This is the 3rd time this question is being asked. This is just being asked in slightly different ways.
That
I think he's ready for it. They're really keying in on Dame. If we can have Ant or Gary be able to step into those situations, that's down the road, that'll be effective not just for him, good for him, but good for us.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't disagree with the answer. Like, that's a bike commercial. I don't know what this is. All right. Yes. Let's. So I don't know. You guys wanted to watch it. I don't know. That specific interview, there was nothing to even say about any of that. Like, yeah. Anyway. So, we'll take maybe a question or two and then wrap this up. I don't know. that killed even just my frustration. That put me to sleep. The questions. You have 3 questions about Anthony Simons. Oh, what do you think about Anthony Simons? Oh, what do you think about being able to play Anthony Simons down the stretch? Oh, Anthony Simons had a good game tonight. What do you think about it? Like, bro. People need to pay attention to what is asked and have backup questions, man.
Trevin's wondering what Stotts thinks about the way Ant's been playing.
I don't know, man. Yeah, we really wish they would have asked him that.
Someone should have definitely asked that, yeah.
Really wish they asked that. Oh my goodness. I am just I'm just at my wit's end with just some of the comments in chat, right? Eric, apparently the culture isn't toxic and the players we have on our team aren't toxic because Stotts made them that way.
That's good.
Or maybe O'Shea brings in high character guys. When has Robert Covington ever been a problem anywhere else? When has Derrick Jones Jr. been a problem anywhere else? Like, hey, credit Stotts. Hey, yeah, credit Stotts for those guys' personalities. That's what we're on. Come on now.
Okay, so Portlandia, I might have to start putting you in timeout. Because this isn't going to fly anymore, man. You got to stop.
He's got to stop jinxing it. He's jinxing it, man.
I'll tell you what. We'll beat the Bulls. Dude, just stop.
If we lose to the Bulls, okay, here. If we lose to the Bulls, you have to come in here and say, we were right about Stotts. All right?
No,
deal?
We made the same deal, didn't we, after last game?
No, I don't remember that.
I thought we did.
Yeah, I'll remember that. That's the deal. That's the deal I'm making.
Even come in.
Yeah, come on now. You said, bro, if you jinx us a 3rd game in a row, I'm gonna be upset. Oh, we're gonna be OKC, Houston, and Chicago. Oh, we lost to OKC. Oh, we're gonna win the next 2 games. Oh, we lost to Houston. Oh, well, we're gonna beat the Bulls though. What happens when we lose to the Bulls? Oh, well, they were just adjusting to the start of their road trip, right? Now they're used to the road, so they're gonna win the next game.
Several people are saying you did say that. That's great.
Oh, well, maybe this time. I don't know. Anyway, we lost to the Bulls at home when we were healthy, and we blew a 20-point lead to do so. I don't know how you can say with any sort of certainty we're going to win this next one, man. You could be looking at a 9-500 record after this next game on an easy schedule, too. Yeah, this is just not going well so far. But we'll continue to have you covered, and we'll continue to rant about the same things. I'm glad that you guys still tune in for us ranting about all the same issues about this team. I'm glad that we can entertain you enough to get you tuning in for our post-game show. We greatly appreciate all the support you give us. If this continues on for much longer, we might just need to not spend as much time and might just need to do what we did last year, where half of the stream was literally us just BSing with chat, not even talking about basketball. We might reach that point. I don't know, man. But we will continue to have you covered and continue to try and entertain you guys and at least maybe be a bright spot in regards to, the team, of course, the team losing these games. So, appreciate it. Appreciate all your guys' support and everybody out there. So, anything you want to end with, anything you have left that we need to touch on?
Nope. So the next game is Saturday against the Bulls, and hopefully we can win that one, because then I think the 2 after that are Bucks and 76ers, right? So both of those are going to be tough.
Yeah. Yikes. We could be looking at 9-11. Oof. I don't even want to look ahead, man. Blazers Uprise Live will be at 3 p.m. next week because we have early games. We have like one of the games tips off at 4, and then another one tips off at 5. We'll just be live at 3 p.m. both days, or maybe slightly after 3 p.m. to 3:15. Normally we're like 3:30 to 3:50. So yeah, it'll be 30 minutes earlier basically next week. Other than that, follow us on Twitter at TorJonesYT for me, at Hoopshock for Eric, at Blazers Uprise YT for the channel. Thank you to the mods for dealing with chat and keeping it generally respectful for the most part. Appreciate all the work that Trevin, Westbrook, and Reese do. The Blazers end up losing tonight. They struggled down the stretch with pressure defense. It was really just kind of the same stuff that we've seen before. But they got a game coming up against the Bulls, which they, should hypothetically win. Hopefully Derrick Jones Jr. isn't out for too long. Hopefully Rocco can come back. This team just has to try and tread water at this point until they're able to get healthier. We'll see. We'll see what they do. We'll have you covered with the post-game stream on Saturday. That is when we'll go live next. Other than that, there's really nothing left to plug, so I will see you guys later. Hope you have a good rest of your night. Until next time, as always,